chef who actually told me he was, in fact, a sous chef.
Pastry chef, actually. So it'll be taxonomy creme brulee tonight. It'll be good.
So this is perfect for tonight. His name is Zach Wahl. He's the game practice leader at PPC. That's the company that's hosting us for tonight. And he's going to be talking about getting started with business taxonomy design. There's some of his credentials. They're summarized in your little menu for tonight, as well as a little description, an abstract of what he's going to be talking about. But he's got 10 minutes to talk about it, so I'll let him do that instead of me talking myself.
Can you cue me up, Doug?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So, right, I typically cover this topic in 2 or 3 day seminars, so 10 minutes should be just about right, I guess. Thanks all for being here. Appreciate it. This is actually our facility. This is PPC's headquarters, so it's great to have you all here, and I hope we see you again soon. The topic is business taxonomy design, which I want to start off by saying is different from traditional taxonomy. We're not talking about the 15-level deep structure that has 4,000, 10,000, 50,000 different terms in it. We're talking about a structure that's going to increase findability within your organization. So the keys here being browse and search, the keys here being categorization, and really it's taxonomy and metadata. You try and use one of these terms without the other and you always get somebody confused. So what we are really focused on is first taking our documents and using taxonomy, a hierarchy, a structure, to store those documents and manage them effectively in a way that's going to be intuitive to both the owners of the documents as well as the consumers of the documents. And then secondly, we're interested in having those same documents be tagged with secondary values, using different taxonomies, different metadata fields, and populating them with potentially the name of a product and the particular audience for which that document is intended, or the type of document that it is. So we put all these things together and we say, I'm looking for a document on this topic, and I'm looking for that document in the form of a policy. So I want to see our travel policy, for instance. Just combining these two separate fields immediately makes something easier to find, makes your search or your browse experience a lot more focused. And so our key here is business taxonomy. Our key here is coming up with flat, simple, easily navigable, intuitive structures. Again, this is different from the traditional librarian's taxonomy, and I know that's dangerous to say in a room full of librarians and masters of information science, but the focus here is on the end user, coming up with a structure that's going to be intuitive for them to both get their documents into, and then for any end user, for them to be able to pull their documents out, pull their information out in a way that makes absolute sense to them. And so the characteristics that we're talking about here is, first of all, we're driven by our content. We're driven by a structure that's going to have the least distance between you as the end user and the information that you're looking for. So we care about depth. We care about minimizing the number of clicks. We, at the very core of this, want every click to be meaningful. So we would never have an empty taxonomy node, or in the portal term, we'd never have an empty folder within our knowledge directory. We want everything to be meaningful. We also, in order to do this, have to be flexible. We need to be able to change this over time because, as you know, your audiences are always changing, your missions are always changing, your products are always changing. And so we need to have a taxonomy and metadata strategy that's flexible, that's easy to change along with your business. Because of that, we can't afford to have this 16-level deep, perfectly granular structure with that perfect little place for everything. We're going to sacrifice some of the granularity for both usability and sustainability in these systems so that they're not going to work just on the day that you roll out and then 5 minutes later it's broken, but they're going to work and they're going to be simple enough and flat enough and intuitive enough that they're going to continue to work over time. So the question becomes, why are we doing this again? What is going to be the true value of this? And the short answer to that is it's going to increase search functionality and benefit by taking the key terms that these documents are tagged with and surfacing them in results lists. And it's going to increase value of browse by driving the browse mechanism, by using the categories with which you've tagged a document and allowing you to use those for both faceting as well as just straight navigation. But more importantly, it's going to allow you to do these two things together. search and browse together through the use of these terms. So you drill 1 or 2 levels deep into a structure like this, and then you search, and you're limiting your search to just that area into which you've already browsed. That's how pretty much every portal and ECM on the market works now. And so if we can teach our users how to do these things in concert, we're going to drastically increase their means to find what it is they're looking for. At the end of the day, that's what we really care about. We don't want to force them down a particular path. We don't want to define the hierarchy for them. We just want to tag consistently and give our users a fighting chance to find what they want. So we've come up with a workshop concept that will help you get started with exactly that. The issues that we often see with taxonomy design is that people can't get their arms around it. They spend months and months talking about taxonomy design, and by the time they come up with a strategy, the entire organization has changed. Or they spend years designing taxonomy, and by the time they roll something out, again, completely different product set, completely different systems into which you might deploy. So we need to be fleet of foot here. We need to move quickly and get something done very, very easily, but still using that intuitive mechanism and focusing on our end users. So this is a methodology that does that. This is a methodology that draws out a few key criteria. The first is the end user focus. The only people that are truly capable of building or designing a business taxonomy are the end users of these systems. Yes, we want input from the librarians, we want input from the folks in IT, but at the end of the day, it's the people that create the content and the people that consume the content that are going to be able to design the most effective taxonomy. Number 2, we focus on simplification. I say this to all the organizations with whom we work. And by the way, we've helped about 140 different organizations design taxonomy and metadata strategy. So this is a proven methodology. I say this to everybody on day one. You're never going to build the perfect taxonomy. You're never going to be finished. It's never going to be done. And that's okay. In fact, that should take the pressure off. Because good enough in the taxonomy and metadata world is good enough. It's never going to be perfect, so don't strive for that. And then lastly, we focus on iteration, and that's exactly to the same point. The only way to design taxonomy and metadata in this frame of reference is over time. We accept that fact because we know everything's going to change anyways. And so the strategy that we focus on here is getting something good enough out the door so that a wider array of end users can see it, react to it, think about it in a way that's less esoteric than just walking into somebody's office and say, hey, what do you want your taxonomy to look like? That's not going to work. So we give them something to react to, and then we set the governance processes in place to modify it over time. Not necessarily to make it deeper or wider, but to make it better, to make it more usable and more reflective of the end user needs. The way that we do this typically is through a very short and simple workshop methodology. Standard configuration, what we've seen work best is 3 days, 12 to 18 business users. Somebody from sales, somebody from marketing, somebody from communications, somebody from HR, whatever else, somebody from quality control. Get folks from across your organization. Hierarchy doesn't really matter. Some senior folks, some junior folks. The key is that these are people who actually deal with information.